but
Because a takeover crowd is much more like a is much more like an AEW crowd than it is a WWE crowd, right?
yes, very much so. Yeah, yeah. So it's similar. I'm not going to get into it again because if I say anything now, it's there's going to be people who are going to go, well, that was a PWG crowd, or that was Ring
Sure.
of Honor's crowd, or it's no. Is another one of my views. Any of the people who think, oh, all they did was take people from Ring of Honor or from PWG. Well, there was a platform for them and a bigger platform to make a better living. If you're I'm very fan friendly. Like I try to, be as open minded to fan uh, um, feedback as possible. But if you're of the mindset that by us or NXT or WWE or AEW now taking your favorite wrestler away from you so that they can make a better living for their family and get more exposure and do all, and you think that the companies, the big companies are the devil for doing that, maybe you need to check yourself in the mirror, because that's what happens in life. You go out to start off in this profession to make a living or to be what you want to be in it, right? Which is usually to get as much exposure or to do the style that you want, or whatever it may be. So anytime that's happened, and that happened a bit with the UK, with NXT UK, and it AW doesn't seem to get that kind of thing, but WWE does. But so, you're taking away all our stars. Oh, I'm sorry that I'm taking them away and giving them an incredible platform to have far better
Right.
training than they've ever had. And ask any of
Right.
the people that have worked there and get looked after when they get injured and
Right.
not have to worry about getting paid that night and getting a
Right.
check in the bank every week. And yes, it might, things have changed in the last couple of years, but I'm sorry if that's happened, or that they're actually making a better living now. I'm really sorry that offends you, but that's what
Mm-hmm.
being a professional is about, right? So it's yeah. So yes, there's obviously similarities, but and that could have grown up around any. NXT definitely was uh, a huge change, and as far as the crowd on a bigger level, getting to
Right.
see that's like a modernized style of wrestling. Yeah.
Right. Like a PWG style, but in front of a large audience type deal.
Well, it was a style, right? And
Right.
PWG were great at capitalizing on that.
Right.
But if you say that, then you're going to be offending the Ring of Honor people, or you're going to be offending
Right.
the people who work for
Right.
Evolve, or the
Right.
people who work for different companies, right? It's just everybody everybody in the last 22 years has had a part of that,
Mm-hmm.
because it's been 22 years since Ring of Honor started, or 21 years or whenever, right? So there was people around at that time, Brian Danielson being one of them. At the same time that I met him, there was Brian Danielson, there was Brian Kendrick, there was Tom Carter. Those three guys. Tom Carter's somebody who's sort of like doesn't get any sort of credit anymore, but Reckless Youth. They
Oh,
were
oh,
all
for
doing
sure.
this, right, doing all this
Yeah.
stuff, and I was lucky enough that they all ended up in my lap, like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh, great, they helped me just as none of that nonsense about I did anything for them. They did as far more for me than I did for them, because they
Mm.
made me think. They made me think a lot, and pick my brains and go back to things that I'd seen all over the place. Because once I'd been in America for a while, there's only so many people I could do the actual stuff that I could do really well with. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I could adapt to most styles, but there was only so many people I could actually just go out and do all the wrestling stuff that became popular in the early 2000s, well, late 1999, because of the tape trading people and because of seeing some British wrestling. Well, I could do a lot of that, but you can only do it with people who can actually do it. And I was by then got my own style of varied different things, of influences of all kinds of different countries, and European style, well, British style, and then a European style, and bits of Japanese stuff, and all kinds of stuff. And so it was all, there's all kinds of styles. What it was NXT gave a big platform to that style, and it was already happening. It was already happening in many places.
Yes, for sure.